Nobody can make you feel what you don't have repressed within you. What's up, everyone? I'm Ashley Smashley, and in this video, we're going to talk about what it means if my content triggers you. If you are new here, you're going to want to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, because we are just getting started over here. Your girl is going to blow up, and you're going to want to be here to watch it all go down. On this channel, we talk all things spiritual awakening, the light in the dark, so that we can become aware and integrate, because that's necessary to become the version of you that can live out your infinite potential. All right, so again, I am on my way to run some errands. So I am really digging this recording while I'm driving situation. If it's not for you, then that's okay. I understand, I guess. But yeah, it's very easy for me to set this up and just cruise, and while I'm in the flow state while I'm driving, so it's like the theta state, so things are able to flow easier. All right, so I am very aware that my content likely triggers a lot of people, and I am also very aware that sometimes I probably come off as very arrogant and condescending. But one thing I would like to preface this whole video with is every single thing that I talk about in every single one of my videos is something that I personally experienced. And I don't usually go into detail about my personal experience and how I learned what it is that I'm talking about, just because I hate when other people do that in their videos, and I like to be concise and deliver the message, deliver the lesson without getting into too much of my personal experience and how I come to the realizations that I come to in my life, especially in regards to awareness of the ego. Okay, obviously we all have egos until we're enlightened. I guess the ego still exists after enlightenment too. It's just fully integrated. And that's the awakening journey. The ascension process is the integration of the ego. And it only happens through self-awareness. So something I've always been hyper aware. And when I was younger, I didn't realize what I was actually aware of, but now I get it. Like, as far as on the awakening journey and integrating the ego and how you are feeding the ego and how you are operating out of an insecure ego. And I feel like, for the most part, if you are identified as ego and your character, there's no way that you can be fully secure in who you are. One thing that I became hyper aware of over the years is that we are always communicating what we have repressed within. So if you are operating from an insecure ego, you are going to be delivering the message as if you have an insecure ego. If you listen to people talk, they're always telling you what they have repressed within by the way they communicate. Okay, so you can assess your own communication skills and understand where you're at. And I do feel like that's another reason why I may come off as arrogant or condescending, is because I'm still have that aspect of self that's deeply insecure. And obviously it's something I'm still working on, but I feel like it's good to be able to look at these different aspects of self and become aware. So that's one reason why when I do record these videos and then I watch them again and I'm like, oh, it's nice to have that to self-reflect on and see where you're at and go back and listen to yourself and see, what am I projecting right now? As long as you're aware and you're actively learning from your experiences, I mean, that's great. I feel like a lot of people get triggered by my content because they're not willing to face whatever it is that is within them yet. And that's okay. Everyone's on their own journey. But, as far as if I trigger an insecurity in you, you have that insecurity within you. It's not me. It's you. Nobody can make you feel anything that you don't already have within you. Do you think that if someone is like super confident, that they're going to watch some random stranger's 60-second reel and then feel bad about themselves? No, they're going to scroll right past it. It's not going to faze them. Okay? Only insecure people would get triggered with watching someone's reel like that, and it is what it is. People don't understand how emotions work. That people, whenever you are triggered, every single time that you are triggered, that is just a reflection of something that you have within you that you need to become aware of and integrate. So as much as I might be projecting my own insecurities, the only way you can perceive that, or if you're in vibrational resonance with that, to get that message and to be triggered by it, is if you have that within you as well. So yes, this is what self-awareness is all about. And recently I posted a video just the other day. Just yesterday, I posted a video saying like helping others, when you help others, people get a real ego boost out of that. And, they derive their sense of value from that. And so someone put, oh, so we should just not help others. And it's like, that's not what the video is about. Okay, the video is about becoming aware of your ego. You cannot integrate the ego if you're still feeding it. And you see this in the self-development industry. And I used to do this all the time. That's how I know, okay? And I made a video, a little skit about it. It was meant to be a comedy skit, okay? That I made a video of me at the gym and called it the fitness ego. And someone commented and said, it seems like this is coming from a place of hate. I triggered her. My video triggered her because she has that within her. And if you go look at her Instagram, you'll see it. She's constantly seeking validation of her worth by posting her gym stuff. And honestly, most people, it makes them feel better about themselves to post and be motivational and inspirational. We're always getting these little hits of superiority. But people don't like to be called out on their shit if they're not ready to face it, But that video specifically was about my personal experience. I wasn't calling her out, And she saw herself in my video and decided it came from a place of hate, even though to me it was a comedy skit. So that's something to become aware of. If stuff like that's triggering you, it's because you have it within you. You're either ready to become aware and face that and begin to make the shifts that you need to make to integrate that stuff, or you're just going to keep projecting and blaming other people for the way you feel and not taking accountability for your emotional reactions. And that's one of the issues that we do have in society in general today. We expect everyone to tiptoe around our emotions. In the woke community especially. We can't say this because people are going to get triggered. You can't hear a word and not be triggered. That's you, baby. If you consider yourself sensitive, that is, I'm emotionally immature. If you are easily offended, you are emotionally immature. And I mean, that just is what it is. Like, other people shouldn't have that big of a hold over your emotional reaction to things, That's you, baby. I wonder how much it's going to cost to completely fill my tank. I guess the point that I'm trying to get at here is that you are 100% responsible for your emotional reactions to everything. Nobody can make you feel what you don't have repressed within you. Our emotions have an energetic component to them. It's repressed within our body and our energetic field. So when you are walking around carrying that vibrational frequency in you, you are going to attract an experience from somebody else that triggers that frequency within you. It is at that point that you can decide, I want to be aware and not blame the person that triggered me because I'm carrying the frequency, right? So then we must process the energy properly and release it. And we do that. There's countless ways that you can process emotional energy properly. You have to find the way that works for you. And I talk about this all over my channel. And yes, we must observe the emotion from a higher state of consciousness and not just be identified with it as the human. So as we go along our awakening journey and we integrate the ego, it's important to become aware of every single thing that we are doing that is feeding our ego. And we feed the ego with all of these different ways. Every single thing we do that gives us this little sense of value, these little hits of superiority, the way we talk to people, like, oh, I posted this on the internet and then that gave me a little sense of value. And you got to figure out what you're doing. What are you doing that's feeding ego? And where are you operating from that insecure ego? And then once you become aware of it, you'll unconsciously do it sometimes and then you'll become aware again. You can assess your communication and also figure out what you have repressed within you. But your life is reflecting everything back to you. So if you get triggered by content, my content specifically, but any content, those are your emotions to take accountability for. So you have to decide that you're ready for that and put the effort into doing the work. And this is the shadow work. This is the whole integration process. And until you decide that you want to let go of all that low density, low frequency energy, that is when you'll actually raise your vibration. Because you can do whatever you want in the external, like the physical world, to pretend like you're raising your vibration. But if you're carrying around a bunch of dense low frequency energy from unprocessed emotions, your dominant vibration is actually very low. So we're coming into this time when everything is getting kicked up to be processed and released. So if my content triggers you, that's a good thing in my book. When people trigger me, I get excited. I know it's not them, it's me. So whenever I get triggered, I analyze, why am I being triggered by this? I need to process my own emotions. And I think that my content is a great stepping stone for my learning, to learn how to communicate effectively, because someday, I swear, I promise you, this is going to be much bigger than it is now. And going through this process is why. So I hope you decide that you're worth it and that you want to go through this process and learn how to integrate your ego and process your own emotional energy. And so you can actually raise your vibration. And once you release the energy, you will no longer manifest and attract the experiences that trigger you. All right, it's all about you. It's all about the energy that you are carrying. So stop blaming other people for triggering you and decide to take accountability for your emotional reactions. 6636. Another thing to take into consideration is normalizing and accepting all aspects of the human experience. And, while we're in the human perspective, we often look at things as right or wrong. And that's like a dualistic perspective. And then, like, coming into higher states of consciousness and looking at the human experience, like, everything is okay. Everything is accepted. So while we're in the human experience, we're looking at other people and being judgmental. And it's literally something that everyone does. So if my content does come off as judgmental and you're like, ooh, they're judging, and you're like, oh, she's being judgmental, you're literally judging me for being judgmental, even though it's something that all humans do. So that's one thing that I have definitely been focusing more attention on, like normalizing all aspects of the human experience and being tolerant and acceptant of all things that people do and say. And I have a hard time with people that are inconsiderate and mean. And I just made a video about this. And especially, there's just sometimes I'm like, are you really that stupid? Like, how can you exist in this world, right? And then I have to remind myself that they're not choosing to be stupid, just like nobody's choosing to be arrogant or judgmental. It's God appearing and pretending to be this character. So literally everything is meant to be and has its place in this world, no matter what it is. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but the truth. The truth. That's what we're seeking, the truth, right? Truth. That's all I want is truth, which is why I've dropped so much of this spiritual nonsense because, well, fun. It's all part of the illusion still. You know, like the idea of past lives and spirit guides and all of that is still within the illusion. Not that from the human experience that stuff doesn't exist, because it does exist here. I'm not saying spirit guides don't exist or past lives aren't a real thing, but the concept of time doesn't really exist, right? Through the human perspective, past life, like there's past, present, future, right? And but anyway, it's all happening at once, which is not a spiritual concept that I've yet to embody, other than in a few momentary glimpses. But so that's why I don't like to talk about it, because that's not something I've completely embodied yet. And that's one of the issues that I have with the spiritual community is there are a lot of people out there talking spiritual concepts that they haven't yet embodied. And they're just speaking from knowledge and not wisdom. But that's another thing about the human experience. I guess we have to accept and tolerate and understand that that's just God doing that thing as well. That's God over there doing that, and that's God over there doing that. And they're not choosing to have 5 different kids from 5 different dads and not be able to afford taking care of their kids. They didn't choose that. God wanted to experience that. Okay? So whatever you're judgmental of in society, that's God appearing, pretending to be a human, wanting to have that experience as that character.